Welcome to 4D Life with Richie Watson over there and myself, David Saville. Today we're going to be exploring part of Richie's healing journey and the vital life breath kind of aspect that connection has played in that. And not just for him, of course, but for everyone that he's connecting with. You know, that spark of connection and just how vital that's been. Now, Rich, for months, was bedridden, barely being able to get out of bed. And then housebound, really, right, for quite some time. So the serious lack of connection with anybody who wasn't in your home. Mm-hmm. And then what happened, man? Like, as soon as you started, like, you first went out your front door, you know, like, how did you connect first, and what effect did that have?
So first, like, connection was a huge part of my life already, as you know. I've said it before. You know, every time I go out the house, I have some form of uplifting connection with other human beings that are around. I like to do that. I like to take the opportunity to connect and talk to other people. And it brings me a lot. You know, a client once reflected back. I didn't know I'd said this, but she reflected back to me during a session. You know, it reminds me of when you said that connection is the ultimate antidepressant. I sometimes put the ultimate on things that, you know, it just comes out because it feels like at the moment. Is it the ultimate? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But it's certainly an antidepressant. But it's more than that. It just brings life to life in the deepest way. We become more fully expressed when we're connected, when we're connecting to others. Connecting to others means connecting to ourselves in that more, not holding ourselves back, and more full expression. Connecting to others is connecting to the moment. Connection all the way down. And while that was a huge part of my life already, I didn't know how far I could take it. Then going through what I did go through, not connecting, you know, not seeing anyone socially for many months. As soon as I got out in the world, and it was a bit surreal at first, that desire started to, you know, it was there for me, I think, through really connecting with appreciation. I was so appreciative to be alive. I was so appreciative to be able to walk. I was so appreciative now to be able to be more present as a father. Like, so much appreciation. And in that appreciation and that goodness, there's now, for me, a natural extension of that is I want to share this goodness I feel with other people, right? And so that's how it was for me. And, you know, I remember so I've just kind of ramped it all up now. And it's been incredible, been beautiful. Been so beautiful. The first time I remember I was, so now I'm able to drive again, and I'm taking my daughter to her classes. So I pick her up from her mum's. And as I pull into the car park, now I'm not speeding or anything like that or driving recklessly. But as I pull in, there's a guy walking kind of in the middle of the road, entrance to the car park. And he has to kind of move kind of swiftly out of the way as I come through. As I see him, I do slow down more as I come through. Now, if you were to look at this from the outside, it's a guy walking in the middle of the road, and he shouldn't be there near the entrance of this car park because you can't see until you come in, right? That's fine. And so he was apologetic, but I stopped, and in my presence, right? And I mean, feeling, not waiting to get to the next moment, but being in this moment and really kind of feeling into it all. Well, you know what? I think what I need to do next time is make sure I'm coming very, very slowly to that entrance. Because what if that kind of happens again? So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over to that person and say, and acknowledge that. I'm going to go over and say, hey, I just want to say I need to come in slower there. And so I'm going to be doing that from now on. Just let that person know that I'm making that change. Because he might just be going away thinking, oh, you know, I shouldn't have been in the middle of the road, which is fair enough and fine. And perhaps because you can't express yourself in a car to a person how you feel about it, maybe he's thinking, oh, that person's probably saying I'm a dick or something, you know. So I just want to go over there and connect. So I went over. As I went over, I could see he actually looks a bit tense, like I'm going to come and start moaning at him. And he starts apologizing again. I go, that's fine. No, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. But what I want to say is, you know what, I could probably actually come through there slower. And I'm going to be doing that from now on. So, you know, I just wanted to let you know that. And I apologize for not doing that sooner. I'm going to be doing it now. He's like, oh, okay, a bit surprised. Okay, I really appreciate that. No worries, man. Have a great day.
Yeah.
And it was so uplifting. Obviously, I'm rooting around taking responsibility for myself in a radical way, so that feels good. But going and having that interaction, moment of connection is beautiful. I had, there's been a lot in the car, surprisingly. There's a lot of potential for connection or violence when you're driving. And I was coming down the road, and there was a traffic cone in the middle of the road. So I stop, and I get out to go and get the traffic cone out of the middle of the road, and a guy starts beeping at me, right? So I mean, that's no fun. And immediately, you've got someone bringing conflict to you out of the blue. You're going to feel some form of internal stress about that, as you should, because you might need to deal with something. So I grabbed the cone, and my instant reaction was to kind of like sarcastically raise the cone in the air, which I did. I don't know if my sarcasm came through, but at the time I hoped it did. Right? And then I place it down, and then I'm like, hang on a minute. Right. That's not enough. That's not how I want to leave this interaction. So I then again, I go over to him, and because he was saying, sorry now, sorry, right out the window. So I go over there, purely the intention, goes, no worries, man, and to fist bump him. Fist bumps are like an awesome route to connection, right? Do it as often as possible, to the distress of my daughter, who is increasingly becoming embarrassed by it. Why are you fist bumping strangers again, Dad? So I just go over, and no worries, man. He's like, oh, sorry, I didn't see it. No worries at all, man. Of course you didn't. Have a great day. Yeah, right on. Feel great. I feel great. Hopefully he feels pretty good too. And, it's built as I've built myself back, and I've got more energy and more time, and I bring more of myself to these moments of connection. David, I have, on the way to the gym, because I'm going to the gym now to jump in the sauna, and I'm beginning that build back. I go to the park first. So, I want to get to the park. And at the park, there's a guy working. It's early in the morning. It's like 7 a.m. And he's doing the work on the flower beds and everything, right? So I get to enjoy these flowers every day. And I go up and I say, I just want to thank you, man, for the work you're doing, because, it means I get to enjoy this park. I've been bringing my daughter to this park for years. She gets to enjoy it. So just thank you. And then we get talking, and he's been doing that job for so many years. He was definitely doing it when my daughter was like a toddler, and I used to take her to the park every single day. And it wasn't an easy period of time because, mum was going through a lot of mental health challenges at the time. And so I took her out every single morning, 2-3 hours, and we'd go to the park. It would just be pure silence, relaxation, and walking around the park and enjoying the flowers. And we'd get really close to them, and she'd smell them. And, and this guy was part of that. So I shared that. And he said, oh, thanks, man. Okay, it must be, do you enjoy it? It's summer, right? So he's enjoyed it. Do you enjoy this? And he's like, well, I do. Winter, not so much. And I'm like, well, in the winter, the meaningfulness of the job is still there. I wanted to help connect him to the meaningfulness, like we talked about in our last video, the meaningfulness of what we do. Like, you're really bringing joy. This is important. I mean that. In fact, I was working with a client, and he was talking about how this very park he likes to visit, and is integral to him feeling better in his well-being, and just told him that appreciation and just connecting to some real life meaningfulness that I see of what he's doing. Right, beautiful. I ride towards the gym. I ride past a bus stop, and there's a guy with incredible hair. And just maybe, David, no one had told him that day.
Maybe.
In which case, I feel it's my responsibility. So I just stop and I say, man, your hair is amazing. Like, big hair. Like, like your Ben's hair, your nephew Ben's. It's kind of like that. Big, curly, long. Your hair is amazing. I was like, oh, thank, man. And I said, whatever you do, no matter what anyone says, never cut that hair. It's like, not gonna. Right on, man. Another fist bump, and I'm on my way again. And then as I approach the gym in the car park, there's the guy collecting the litter. And I just say, hey, man, good morning. How's it going? Thank you for this. Thanks, man. Have a great time in the gym. And that was a light moment of connection. But then that all led to being in the sauna. And I'm now talking to a guy in there. And it's like he's now been at the gym consistently for 7 months. Whereas before that period of time, he never could consistently do it for a couple of weeks. And I'm like, well, in these moments, David, I do have you with me, as the archetype of the coach. Well, I need to ask him what's changed, because I need to know because I'm curious, but he needs to know too. And maybe even if he knows, his knowing isn't conscious as it needs to be. And then if it's conscious, we can draw on it, right?
Yeah.
What's changed, man? Like, how come now? What's made the difference? You're in 7 months compared to a couple of weeks and being inconsistent. And then he tells me that he lost his husband very suddenly. This guy's like, what, in his 30s? I'm assuming his husband is a comparable age, and he lost him to a heart attack very suddenly. And he said he found himself inactive and sitting around being depressed and drinking. And then he caught himself imagining what his husband would say to him. And he'd say, get it together, stop wallowing and sitting around and living like this. So he connected to his meaning, like we talked about in the last video, David, and that meaning drew him forward, that meaning drove him forward, and he's been drawing that since. And now is the point he's really enjoying his progress at the gym. It's been so huge for him and his grief process and his building back process. And it was just such a rich and beautiful conversation. And at first, when he started speaking about it, he rushed away from it. So that's something I want to say. Like, he mentioned it, this, and then he rushed away because I'm a stranger in a sauna. And it's like, do people want to hear about this? No, well, maybe not most of the time because we're a bit nervous about that. But I let him know. I come back and I said, I just, you started speaking about this stuff, but I want to say, you mentioned about your husband, and I'm really sorry to hear that. And that must have been really hard. But that's amazing that you've been able to use his memory as inspiration for you, as meaningfulness for you to be able to do this and move forward in life. And then he's talking more about all his grief and everything then, and that connection's deeper because, I'm not going to rush off with him to a thin place, to a more comfortable place. It's like, here's where the depth of connection is and has come. So I'm going to let you know I'm going to be here with you, man. And it was beautiful. And again, because of the depth of what he was sharing, if we weren't two males in the sauna, I would have hugged him. But even if he was heterosexual, it wouldn't be the most appropriate thing. But out of the sauna, it would have been a hug. But again, it was fist bump time because context appropriate connection, and that's my life, David. Not like every day, and it's like, okay, what do you want? You feel better? Well, this connection right here on our doorstep every day, and like I said, it helps you become fully expressed. It just feels great, and maybe we're not all the most confident of people, but there was times when I wasn't. That's okay. Just see if you can become open. Firstly, become open to connection. That in itself invites people like me, right?
Weirdos,
lunatics that are going to come and talk to you. That in itself, if you become open to connection, a conscious willingness, okay, I'm open to connection. And then taking that opportunity to just say that thing, wish someone well, thank someone and show appreciation, providing a service, whatever it is, and build from there. And again, like I said in the last video, there's an inevitableness to applying this. Life gets better and it feels good. David, today in the sauna, it's becoming my informal office.
You're that weirdo in the sauna, are you?
I'm the weirdo in the sauna. And there's a guy that is going through an awful time, in all areas, and he can, and it's, and I think I mentioned one of our last video too, in the sauna too, because you're in a box. You're in a box, right, with people. So I'm going to say hi, and then you start talking, and then what do you get? Life. There's a lot of life comes in and out of a sauna because there's a lot of life comes in and out of everywhere, and it's good, bad, ugly, and beautiful. But I want to meet myself and everyone in all of it. Far more often than not, it's light and it's fun and it's sharing a joke and sharing a moment and it's appreciative and it's everything. But the willingness to go wherever it goes is what makes you more open. I think the reason we shut down from connection because we're a bit afraid of what might happen. It's like, well, what if I'm vulnerable if I'm connecting? Yeah. And what if someone shares something that I don't feel strong enough to be able to hold with them, right? And it's opening up and becoming more willing to be vulnerable in our connections, both our existing ones and our everyday ones, and to be willing to hold what may come up for others too, and ourselves, right? It's that willingness. And so there's some of it's just light and beautiful. Some of it is a bit of a challenge. But we do both. And it enriches our life beyond measure, man. You know, everyday connection, it feels as good as anything feels. Like, I compared it before to, you know, when we come back from retreat and we've facilitated an incredible retreat, and the amount of boxes that ticks. You know, we've been away in Spain, have, you know, in the sun and beautiful places, tick. We've been together, you know, connecting, tick. We've been doing incredible work with people and they've made massive progress and breakthroughs, tick, 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 tick. And then you come back, we made some money too, right? That's always good. You know, tick, success, nice. Tick. And in the end of the list, that's good. And you feel amazing. But I feel just as amazing walking down the street and passing the time with my neighbour. I feel just as amazing when I'm opened up to that and really connecting those moments. In fact, David, I do realise I'm doing all the talking right now, but there's some really valuable things to share. My neighbour, like right now, I'm in my old family home, right? And this neighbour, elderly neighbour in her early 90s, she's been around since I was little. And I used to go and stroke her dog and always pass the time with her. She was lovely. And in more recent times, she's lovely to my daughter. My daughter knows when we take her Christmas cards, we'll take her a poinsettia, you know, and she'll bring, like, for Christmas, and she'll bring chocolates for Emily. And this wasn't this period of time. It was actually the more COVID kind of period. I leave the house, I walk, and I'm tired. You know, my health still wasn't doing good back then. I'm tired and I'm not quite there. And I'm looking at bare minimum as I see her approach. Hey, Wendy. And then like a hey, Wendy. Now, hey, Wendy's fine. And hey, Wendy is connection. Hey, Wendy is a step forward. But for me and Wendy, it would be a step back, actually, right? So I'm like, no, Rich, don't rush. I know you're tired. Take time. Be here. Her husband passed. She's alone in the house. I don't know when her next conversation is going to come. So I take the time, not pass the time. That's not the right. Treasure the time. Cherish the time. I cherished the time with her and talk. And it was lovely and beautiful. She, in that conversation, started saying, you're such great neighbours. I love, you know, having you as neighbours and all these beautiful things. It was lovely. And that was the last time I saw her, David, because she died soon after.
Oh, man.
And it's like I could have, if I'd have gone, hi, Wendy, and walked off and made that my bare minimum, which would be really unusual. If I'd have done that, I'd have been like, fuck, why did I do that, man? And I'd live, and then what I'd have had to have done is alchemize that regret into change behavior to make sure I don't do that. But as it was, I did do it, but I still got the HD lesson of you nearly didn't, right? You nearly didn't. And I'm so grateful for that last moment of connection, but for all the moments of connection that I took the opportunity for with Wendy. It was a wonderful woman, and you know we'll remember her always.
And that's so beautiful, man, and so easy to have got caught up in the busyness, because that happens to me, man. If I've got a lot to do, you know, sometimes I'm making that mistake with people, you know, like rushing through that because I'm not really here, you know. It's because I'm actually wherever I'm supposed to be, you know, because I'm running late or because I've got a bunch of stuff to do, you know. But it never feels right, never feels good. You know, there's always something, you know, that's there, no matter what it is. I might be missing that fist bump moment, you know. It might be something very small, but I can feel it, especially if I become more sensitive to it, obviously from my work and also just from our conversations and this new lease of connected life that I've been receiving from you. You know, really like paying attention more to when I'm not doing it. Like there's an active closing within that happens when it's not happening. I'm aware of it. Like I feel constricted, you know, in those moments. Yeah. Every time. And so sometimes I've been just aware of it and then correcting it, like stopping myself and going, oh man, the other day I missed a moment, right? So I went to the vet with my dogs, and I went in there and just trying to get some medication for one of them. And then there was this woman there, and we were just chatting about my bare feet, actually, because I wasn't wearing shoes, and we were just talking about that and her journey towards that. With these vibrant 5 fingers that she just started.
Oh, cool.
She'd like to build herself up to barefoot one day, right? So we're connecting over that level, and she clearly has a spiritual connected experience of life that goes beyond the ordinary. She clearly, just from the way she's referring to it, what it means to her. And then she's talking about these 14 cats she's got. She's actually bringing one in to be rescued, who'd been a stray that'd been injured on the street. She'd brought it in. Obviously, she's done this at least 14 other times, if not many more, and then taken them home, and she's caring for these cats, right? So clearly a very caring individual as well. And so we had this beautiful moment of connection. Then the vet calls me, and we end up doing that thing. And I'm switched out of connecting now, and I'm into, I've done what I'm supposed to do. Now it's time to leave. And I just made a joke with her and said goodbye, walked away. Man, it's like when I'm walking away, it didn't even occur to me until I was like quite far down the road. And then I was like, hang on a second, she's cool. She lives locally. I could have invited her to go barefoot walking sometime, right? Or whatever. It's like that's a person that we could continue a connection because she seems pretty cool. Maybe become a friend who lives locally, right? Is what could have happened. But man, I was down that street and just missed it completely. That's not who I want to be, right? I don't want to be the person who snaps out of that moment. I want to be fully here with her, with all the opportunities, through connection, anything's possible, right? For the opportunity of what may happen, as a result of meeting someone really awesome, who potentially could become, who knows, a lasting friendship. Or even if it wasn't, even if she'd said no, right, that she's not interested in doing that, at least I would have given the possibility for that to happen. So that sucks.
Yeah, man, because look at our meeting, the unlikeliness of it. This was also about connection to life when we met, because you'd been invited along to this live stream interview that was happening. A friend, loose friend, I think, that invited you along to see if you could be helpful because they needed someone to be helpful. And
for me to do something that I wouldn't like check a computer and make sure it goes through, right? It's not something I would do. And it was a loose friend, but I thought, you know what? I'm interested in the person speaking. I like her enough to want to help her. I'll go. And it was a trek, man. It was the other side of London. So it wasn't even close. It was like an hour and a half's journey to get there.
And then my reality, and we haven't met each other at this point, one of my closest friends, who I don't think I've been in contact with since, I might have seen him at a party or something, but my old closest friend, we hadn't, staying connected had been problematic over the years. I'd gone through a lot. He'd gone through stuff. I hadn't had much time for my social life. But I invited him to come to this thing. So I thought it'd be beneficial for him to hear it. He also works for Mind Charity. And this was about, mental health, kind of. So I invited him to that. And anyway, let me down last minute and wasn't coming. And suddenly I'm in the moment of, I'm at home, an hour and 20 minutes drive away from this place in London. Loads, and I don't know anyone. I'm going, but I've been invited by the speaker to come along because he's going to be speaking at one of my events at some stage. And I'm like, so easy not to go. So easy to go. It's late now. I could just put my pajamas on and sit in my chair, But then I realized that I knew what would happen if I didn't go. Nothing. But I didn't know what would happen if I did go. Something. And what happened was, David, we met, connected, right? And connected all night. I didn't even, basically, I was going to connect and hang out with the speaker afterwards. That's what I invited. But we hung out and spoke afterwards. And everything we've created professionally, the friendship we have, the deepest friendship, most realist, strongest friendship I've ever had.
Yeah, me too.
All came from a yes that could have been a no. And that was connection too. It's connection to life. It was connection to possibility and potential. It was connection to something rather than nothing. And everything that we've done since has been built on that decision you make and that decision I made, right?
Yeah.
Like, wow, imagine if we hadn't have done that. And how many times are we not doing that? How many times are you watching this, not doing that, not making that decision, not connecting? Like, you know, who could that person have been that you met, David, for you?
Yeah.
Right? Who could that person have been? Now, who you've been to me is when I was at my deepest, hellish, most awful time, where a multiverse of rock bottoms, that's the catchphrase I've coined for what I went through early in the year, because it was everything. I have everything that I teach and it all works, and thank God for it. But I also had you to be able to call and express to. And as we know, expression is so fundamentally important. There's many ways we can become more fully expressed. Emotional expression is what we need to do to be able to transmute, to be able to, for things to change for us to grow and transform. But having that person that I could call and express fully and completely to, you, was one of the greatest blessings of my life earlier in the year. And so imagine us, we nearly missed that. And again, the message for everyone, what are you missing? What are you missing? And it's not being open to connection, not stepping forward and connecting, is holding yourself back.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And the invitation is just step forward, you know, step forward in whatever way, step forward playfully. I told you how my daughter's had enough of this now. A few weeks ago, we're driving along on the beach and just in the road by the beach. And so we're crawling because we're just leaving. And there's this guy and he's wearing an amazing shirt. It's a white shirt and it looks like this paint is just dripping all down it, right? Once again, David, it might be the case that nobody's told him that day how amazing shirt. He might even be hanging around with people telling him that's not an amazing shirt, right?
That's true, yeah.
I highly suspect those people might be around because of the look, what looked like his wife gave me and him while I'm engaged in this. Stop the car, wind down the window. Excuse me, man. That is an amazing shirt. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I like it. Absolutely incredible. If anyone says any different, do not believe them. That's one of the best shirts I've ever seen in my life. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. Thanks. And then off. And as I'm driving off, Emily just goes, Dad, don't do that ever again. And I said to her, I said, honey, it's going to be happening a lot more. Daddy's getting his energy back, and with it, his personality. And this for me is life. This is life. You know? And I hope at some stage she ceases to condemn it and actually starts doing it her own way herself. Who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah, man. We never know the effects of that. You know, like I know from having conversations with people over the years that there are 3 people I know who were actually suicidal, actually considering that day to do something to end their life. And they had a moment of someone looking at them and smiling. They didn't even speak. But 3 individuals I know from all over the places had that experience on the day that they were finally decided to end their lives. And it was enough to snap them out of whatever they were going through in that moment. Enough to see a glimmer of hope and a glimmer of something beyond what they were experiencing. And those people, you know, went on to, you know, do good things and to be of service to others, you know, and just who knows what, you know, what other effects that's had. That's just looking in someone's eyes, walking past and actually smiling like you fucking mean it, you know. And I notice it, man. You know, whenever I go out on the train or I'm just in London or anything like that where there's lots of people, it tends to happen more. And I get this thing that happens. So people are walking and I'm looking, I'm eye contacting people as they walk past, right? Because they're human beings that are walking past me. So why wouldn't we acknowledge that? You know, that's a normal thing that we should be doing. And I tend to get this double take because the first time I do that, and then there's like a big, like this, it's like suddenly there's like, it might be a tiny crease here, you know, where they're like, because I'm smiling. But then because they look back and there's something real here, boom, there's like, suddenly it's like they're like this fixed thing that they had has been shattered. And suddenly this person's like, looks completely different, looks alive, looks happy and connected. Happens all the time. Just from really looking, smiling and saying, like, I see you and you're awesome. You know, it's like, we're here together. Just that briefest of moments, you know.
Here we are, existing
near
each other.
Together.
How wild is this?
Yeah.
We're riding this massive space rock together.
Yes.
Where are we going? Who knows? But we're here. Yeah, man. Yeah, right on.
Yeah. And so we cannot know the effects of us doing that, but being the person to do it, because we have to be the one who does it. The problem is a lot of the time we're waiting for someone else to go first to kind of gauge things. And that's, you're suppressing waiting. And the trouble is, so's that person. And so what tends to happen is that no one does it. And then you get this weird thing where it's quite normal to literally be this close and to look and to say, good morning. And for them to like be really uncomfortable and ignore it. That's normal around here where I live. Very normal, you know. How has that weirdness become so normal? And what is that? What damage is that doing to that individual? And to all of us, really, in some way, like deliberately, like breaching connection continuously, like hiding from it, ignoring it. Man, what a horrible way to be.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly right. And it's like it's the holiday effect I keep referencing, right? You go on holiday and suddenly you're like your best version of yourself. You're living your best life on holiday. But it's not just the holiday and the experience. You are better. You are openly connecting with people more. You know, there's just more. And what's going on then, you know, as we've taught, you know, we're literally turning on new DNA in our nervous system. In those moments, we're turning on genes in our nervous system in those moments. So that when we put ourselves in new environments and open up to connection, we're turning on genes in our nervous system, which weren't turned on before. So we're biologically changing, right? Biologically changing to support a different potential of being. And so we go on holiday and we have all these open, you know, I've spoke to people like this. It's hilarious. It's like, then they meet people and they're like, they get on so well and there's always freedom. It's brilliant. And then they, you know, exchange details or add to each other on social media. Never connect again. Get back home and just, you know, get back in the box, right?
Yeah.
Back, shrink. So it's different between expansion and shrinking from life. So expanding into life is like that holiday effect. But you don't need to be on holiday to do it. You can bring that of yourself here every day. And I think that's what I've been doing. And I've been doing it since I noticed in my mid-20s when I was away that I was being and doing it. And I didn't need to be on holiday to be and do it. I could actually be and do it everywhere. And, you know, so that's the invitation, guys, you know, and if you need a point of reference, who am I on holiday? Okay. Walk out your front door and be that person. See what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else you want to add?
Just, you know, thank you for watching, guys. And if this has been of value, please invite people into the conversation. Any questions, any comments, bring them to us. We'll respond. And like I say, this is of service. You know, do share it with others.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for being here. If it has been valuable, first use it, then share it.